warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Safira. I want to tell you about my thesis proposal under title The Use of Interpersonal Communications Between Balinese Traders and Foreigner Interactions in Kuta Bali. Firstly, why I choose this topic? Because I live in Bali. I live around Balinese traders. So I know well the Balinese traders actually never known about English language and they never study Bali. But because they interact with the foreigner every day, it can increase their knowledge about English. So here I wanna research about how their interpersonal communication affect the Balinese traders and affect Balinese traders' knowledge about English, and also what is the obstacles and how to overcome it. So what is that interpersonal communications? Before I tell you more about interpersonal communications, I want to give you little explanations about what is that communications. Communications is human important part in daily life. Without communications, we cannot interact with other people. Every day, human comes with a lot of communications with a various of ways, such as like greeting, say hello, discuss, have call, interview, and each other. It is belongings to the communications activity. So it is proven and it is known that human cannot separate it with communications. Based on the Tulasi 2012, say that communications is the central of human life. Without communications, will be there no life and interactions between humans. So communications divide by two. There is verbal communications and non-verbal communications. Verbal communications, it is related with single word. It is related with orally. So the sender and receiver doing some communications by word. Based on the Smith 2012, there are 4 types of verbal communications. Those are interpersonal communications. The communications emphasize on face-to-face communications between two individuals, such as like this research, and also intrapersonal communications. The communication through a big number of people, but still very private and individuals, and also small group communications. The communication use the small number of people, but it's open, and also the public communications, it is like a lot number of people, such as like gathering. And non-verbal communications is called as manual language, the processing of sending and receiving message without using word. Those are the example of non-verbal communications, such as like facial expressions, eye contact, gesture or touch, and also body language. So what is that communications? Based on the Fund Rule 2018, communication is a one-way process of gathering information and accept informations. It is called right sender to receiver. So in communications, there are 2 important parts. This is a sender, which is focused on flowing the information to the receiver, and receiver is an object to accept the information. So from all the explanations about communications, we know that interpersonal communications is a part of verbal communications. Berger and Roloff 2019 say that interpersonal communications related with the social activity, such as like social influence, people relationship, bargaining, negotiations, and also deep conversations. Why? Because it is related to the social activities, so this communication easily comes spontaneously and also informally and unstructured. So these communications also comes with the 2 individuals. They doing some deep conversations, but spontaneously. It is like one-to-one conversations. So in this case, in this research, why I choose the interpersonal communications, because the Balinese traders and also foreigner use the bargaining and negotiations as the main indirect communications of them. So, Zaman 2016 also say that there are many skills that should learn by sender, also receiver, that's to make an effective interpersonal communications. Zaman told there are 7 skills. First, this is a speaking skills. It is include asking and answer. Without a speaking skill, they cannot interact effectively each other. And the second is open door skill. Sender, this skill especially comes should learn by the sender, because sender should open the communications easily. After he or she open the communications easily, the communications will be more effective. And the third, keeping politeness skills. I think not just in this interpersonal communication we should to keep our politeness, but in all communications we should have to keep our politeness. And four, apologize skill. Although sender also receiver who do something wrong to both of them, they should apologize, they should ask pardon, and it is why apologize skill include the 7 skill. And the 5th, responsibility skills. They among them should have the responsibility skills. And the 6th skills is empathy and caring skills. As what I have said to you before, interpersonal communications really related with the societal activities. So one of the skills also should related with the humanity. It is like empathy and caring skill. And the last is listening skill. Listening skills is really needed in all communication, not just in interpersonal communications, because when you listen your partner in communications carefully, it will be more effective. Those are the explanations about the interpersonal communication. So I want to continue to my research questions. First, what are the type of expressions in interpersonal communications that used by Balinese traders and foreigner interactions in Kuta Bali? Second, what are the obstacles in interpersonal communications that used by Balinese traders and foreigner interactions in Kuta Bali? And also, how does the Balinese traders overcome the obstacles? And also, the purpose of the study is to define per use of expressions in interpersonal communications between Balinese traders and foreigner interactions in Kuta Bali, and also to describe the obstacles in interpersonal communications that used by Balinese traders and foreigner in Kuta Bali, and also to elaborate the way how to overcome the obstacles in interpersonal communications that used by the Balinese traders. So, as the significance of the study, I as the researcher divided by 2. This is the society benefit and also practical. For the society, it beneficial for all society who want to know or who are interested in interpersonal communications between Balinese traders and also foreigner. And also for the practical benefit, it is beneficial for the next researcher who are interested in examining and also want to highlight some interesting issue in my research. It is very beneficial for all of them. And for the scope and limitations, I used to be the scope. The scope is interpersonal communications between Balinese traders and foreigner, and the factor and how to overcome it, and also the limitations. My study will not cover other problems and situations that are not related with the scope that I have explained before. So the research method. The researcher used the descriptive qualitative research as the research design, and also for the subject use 5 Balinese traders and 5 foreigner to be the subject of interview, and 5 couples of them as the subject for the direct observations. And this criteria of the subject is those are who located in Kuta Bali, and also those are who interacted with English language. For the instruments, I use face-to-face interview and also direct observations. And for the data collections, I choose convenience or accidental sampling. This sampling is called as the most useful in any cases of research. In all, it is also very quick, less of time, effort, and money. Accidental samplings is samplings that researchers can choose them directly or accidentally in any situations or accidentally in any cases based on the subject criteria of the research. So why I choose this sampling as my data collection? Because I, as the researchers, don't know how many foreigners will come a day in Kuta and how many times they will back in Kuta Bali. So I can choose directly the participants between Balinese traders and also foreigner if I think that it is suitable with my subject criteria. The last is data analysis. I choose four manner in data analysis. First, collecting data. Collecting data, as what I have said to you before, I use the face-to-face interview and direct observations as my instrument. And second, review. Researcher sort and review some important informations that get from the participant before. And the third is summarize and conclude. Researchers can summarize and conclude some informations to get the result of the data collections. And the fourth is library research. It is very important because when the researcher have done all the data collections and the data analysis, researchers should finding more library research and journal to get more understanding about the research.